Hi everyone, we'll be starting the webinar in just a few minutes. We've just still got some people coming in the webinar room. There's a small poll on the screen just helping us understand who's here so we can tailor today's content to the audience. And also, if you're not familiar with the Zoom webinar software, there's a Q&A tool that you can use throughout the webinar and even now where you can put in sort of topics you want to hear about, what are you most interested in learning about today? And we'll see those as we go through, and we'll make certain we're answering the questions as well as sort of shaping what we show to match what people are interested in. So find the Q&A tool and just tell us what you'd like to get out of this session today. And we'll make sure we cover that. We'll be starting in 2 or 3 minutes. And actually, if somebody could just post a question, any question, in the Q&A tool, that would just be a good check to make sure it's working for everyone. Okay, I can see some things coming through now. Terrific. Thanks all for that. So one of you, Exec, is the username has asked what's the best platform to build agents. Today we're going to be looking at my company's platform, Sapience, but a lot of the things that we cover today is sort of a general purpose, and you can take the principles and apply them to other platforms. All right, so look, the majority of the audience, about 3/4 of you answered the poll, have seen me talk before. So because of that, I'm probably just going to do a much briefer set of slides than I often do. And we'll go into some practical, how-tos, like building agents, building workflows. I see some names on the line I recognize. Marcus, I see, hey, Marcus, hey, Harry. If you guys want to use the Q&A tool and type in, so today's a bit different. It's we're not all on the video, but if you want to type in what you want to see, you want to, get an idea for an agent, you want to learn more about, I'm actually going to build some agents on the fly today while we're in this session. All right, so just a few slides first. So, go back one. What are we going to cover? We're going to talk about agents. We're going to talk about why now is the time to really be getting into AI agents. It wasn't true a year ago, but it certainly is now. We'll cover some generic agent concepts that apply to all AI agent platforms. And then when we get to using agents and building agents, I'll be demonstrating Sapience, our platform, because the one I know best, can move fastest in, but some of these concepts transfer to other systems too. So, if you're paying any attention to the news, particularly out of America, we're starting to see larger and larger rifts or reduction in forces at major companies. So Microsoft laid off 30,000 engineers last year, whilst also announcing that 30% of their code is now written by AI agents. And that's pretty key, right? Because all Microsoft does is sells computer software. That's their core business. So 30% of their core business is now performed by AI agents. And, Mark Benioff has come out and said that they've been able to reduce their support costs by 17%. Well, that directly translates into jobs that have been eliminated, right? So in the context of Salesforce, I've been a shareholder for 15 years. They spend an ungodly amount of money on managing their customer support and success function worldwide. If you've ever used Salesforce, you'd know why. It's not an easy platform to use. So a 17% reduction in cost in Salesforce's income statement represents hundreds of millions of dollars worth of savings, where they've rolled out agentic workflows and sophisticated AI agents, and they just don't need as many humans in the function anymore. And that we're going to see that pattern again and again and again in every industry, in every role, in every function. Now, a really common question I get is just what is an AI agent, right? And there's not consensus in the computer science community or the AI community about this, but that kind of doesn't matter. The way you should think about an AI agent is a digital employee, right? An AI-based system. It's not ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a toy. We're talking about an agentic system that can reason and plan and act, can delegate, can coordinate work by humans, work by other agents. And just think of it, instead of working with a remote employee, if you're sitting in New York, emailing someone in Los Angeles, you don't expect an immediate reply. Think of AI agents like that. Right? They work asynchronously. They might take 20, 30 minutes, an hour to do work and come back to you. But they're then going to do that work faster, better, and cheaper than humans of all calibers at this point, other than the most senior professionals in a department. And like all things, there are good agents and there are bad agents. ChatGPT, Claude, through the website, these are bad agents. These are sort of tech demos. And when you're thinking about AI agents, you think about like what is a bad AI agent? It's all the things you know about consumer AI. So bad agents hallucinate, which means make things up. They don't source their answers. They don't tell you where they got their information from. They're general purpose. They're not task specific. Jack of all trades, master of none. A good AI agent generally will adhere to this list of 13 things. So it won't hallucinate. It will always give you sources and citations. It's task specific and built to do a job, and it's a master of that job. It's faster and cheaper than humans, definitely, and likely better than the human equivalent solution. Good agentic systems allow you to scale from 1 agent to 100 with the click of a button. Good agents collaborate well with humans and also can orchestrate other bits of technology and also can orchestrate other agents, right? So these 6, 7, and 8 is really, really important. Good, like our agent platform allows you to do group chat. So you can have, say, multiple humans and multiple AI agents all in sort of a group chat. I haven't seen that anywhere else. Good agents can plan and reason and act. They can maintain goals over long horizons, so they can work for an hour or two without needing to be interrupted or needing help. But then a good agent will escalate to the human when it gets stuck and needs to, just like a human employee would. And so there aren't many platforms out there that meet this criteria. Claude Code in a harness like Ralph Wiggum does do this if you're using one of their reasoning models. OpenAI Codex, leveraging either GPT 5.4 or O3 does this, and then our platform does all 13 of these. Actually, Claude Code and OpenAI do not, in fact, do all 13 of these at this point in time. And so just to give you a visual reference of sort of the knowledge that a good AI agent can hold, imagine you had your own personal version of ChatGPT that knew everything about you, your business, your customers, your problems, your support tickets, everything, right? So a good AI agent is built around an AI model, so it knows everything an AI model does, but then can be augmented with about 20 million words of custom knowledge for your environment, which is 20 million words is 50,000 pages of paper. 50,000 pages of paper is a stack of paper that is 6 meters tall. I'm 1.8 meters, so it's more than 3 times me stacked vertically. But the point I'm making is that good AI agents can be tuned with just an enormous amount of context about your problems, your business, your opportunities, and that's incredibly powerful. Good AI agents work in teams, just like good human employees work in teams, right? So this is sort of a workflow where what seems like a simple query, and this was modeled on a real-life research run. It then triggered 6 different agents that worked in a swarm to produce a 30-page research report. So if the tool you're using doesn't allow you to use sort of teams of agents or networks of agents, you probably need to look for a new tool, to be honest. I'm going to skip through these slides because if you've seen me talk, then you know this track. But I do want to go through to these two slides. So let me go back on the animation. So if we take, so in this slide, it's called Joe, Julie, doesn't matter. But the human in question is a mid-level executive. What I mean by mid-level is like think junior partner at Accenture, right? Or junior partner at a law firm or an accounting firm. So not a rainmaker, not someone who's bringing in lots of money, and also not a junior burger, but somebody who's costs the company real money and does real work. Pretty much from every knowledge work category, you can dissect those jobs and break them down into their constituent parts, and they nearly always involve computers these days, right? So in this case, and this is modeled on a junior partner at a consulting firm, spends a lot of time building presentations, sending and responding to emails, analyzing data in Excel, doing research with internal company documents, doing research on the internet, holding meetings with other humans, and then sort of planning and writing plans and programs of work to coordinate other humans. With the agentic tools that are available right now today, this human can get back at least half of their work week, right? There are AI tools, including Sapience, that do better slides than 95% of humans, that can triage and summarize emails and draft replies, who can do better work in Excel and data crunching than 90% of humans, can do better research, fact-finding than 90% of humans. So if Joe adopts all of these pieces of technology, he gets back half of his work week. And that's terrific for Joe. He can hopefully then spend time being creative and making novel sort of connections between things and providing more value to his employer. But the reality is that for Joe's employer, they now only need half as many Joes. So when we're talking about enterprises and we're talking about departments and companies, every time you AIify 10% of the work, 20% of the work, 30% of the work, that saves an enormous amount of money that's being spent on human labor. And then leaders have two choices. They can either reduce headcount and just pocket all of that, that budget that's been freed up, pocket it as profit, or they can pursue more growth, pursue a bigger mission and try and deliver more because all of a sudden their humans are twice as productive in a given week. Of course, many companies are making the choice to let the humans go and convert that free cash into profit. And this is seen nowhere more starkly than in the programming profession. So I'm a coder, have been since I was 12 or 13, a long time now. And on planet Earth, there are, depending on who you listen to, between 20 million and 27 million paid professional computer programmers. It's an enormous industry around the world. And the AI models that are available today, Opus 4.6 from Anthropic, Gemini 3.1 Pro from Google, and GPT 5.4 from OpenAI, these tools are better at programming than 99% of coders. It is just absolutely insane. And put another way, it is insane for managers of computer programmers to ask humans to do most of that work now, when AI can do it at 99% lower cost, right? 1% of the cost of the human, and at much higher quality. And most of you on the line are not coders, so you might be wondering, how the heck is that possible? Well, the answer is this, that the AI labs focused on coding as their primary first use case. So Anthropic and OpenAI are pouring all of their money into making their AI models amazing at computer coding. Why? Because code is what they use to create AI. So by building solutions that are amazing at coding, they're actually allowing them to use their own tech to build their tech. So GPT 5.3, which was the first model where OpenAI said the AI built the AI, right? And then 5.4 has built on that. Same thing's happening at Anthropic. So the pace of sort of model capability is going vertical because the AI is now building the AI. So that's what sort of this yellow highlighted point is. Coding was first because it suited the vendors. These vendors have built tools that they themselves need. But it has enormous flow-on effects. Firstly, like 3 years from now, there is absolutely no way those 27 million people have jobs, right? Millions and millions of programmers are going to start losing their jobs, and it's going to happen in waves, and it's going to be epic. You watch the headlines over the next 12 months. We're just going to, like Microsoft last year laid off 30,000 engineers, be at least that many this year, and on and on and on and on and on. And where does this go? Well, once you've got AI that can code better than humans, it turns out that code can do a lot, right? And so we're going to see this ripple effect going into more and more and more industries. It's not to say we'll all have as dramatic an effect as it's having on the coding industry, because like humans don't adopt technology as fast as they can or should, right? And I want to just go forward to a really interesting study that just came out. So this graphic was recently released by Anthropic, where they've plotted on the blue axis of this spider graphic, they're plotting what AI can do. Okay, so where is AI capable of doing the job? And you can see in computers and math, it's right up there. But they've also said business and finance, management, it's getting there with architecture and engineering. It's definitely there with legal. The red bars, on the other hand, represent current industry adoption. So coding and computer software is the most adopted category, but it's nowhere near 100% of capability, right? So change takes time, and humans are slow to change. Sort of fundamental points to wrap your head around. But we're going to see these red bars chase up to the blue bars, and we're going to see the blue bars, expand. So it's very clear that the AI labs have as their goal to be able to use AI to do any valuable economic knowledge work, right? And there's actually a benchmark that's gained popularity in the last 6 months, which looks at an AI model's ability to do economically valuable work. So legal work, software engineering work, financial analysis. And in those industries and not in those categories, the AI is now outperforming humans, right? So recently, there was a memo that went around Wall Street about 200,000 back office jobs at Citibank and Wells Fargo and JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs being eliminated because AI now does financial analysis better than all of these 30-year-olds with MBAs from Harvard, which is absolutely insane, right? So this is not a tech that's going to touch low-value jobs. This is a tech that's going to touch the highest value jobs on earth. And so I'll punch through these slides. I just want to hover on this slide, though. One thing I'll say to all the leaders in the audience is AI strategy is not something you can delegate, right? I recently met a CEO and I asked him, sort of, what's your AI strategy? And he literally said to me, I think we have an AI strategy. I'll have to check with my head of IT. And I was just staggered by that comment. And I said to him, mate, that is the equivalent of saying you think you have employees, you'll check with your head of HR. And he was almost offended by what I said. But we then spent quite a bit of time together. And he's now very much in the camp, in sort of my camp, and now understands that. And we're rolling out AI across all of his operations. But it was a real mind shift for him. And I think some leaders still have that mindset that AI is a tech play and it's something for the nerds to worry about. It is absolutely not that. I'm a deep nerd, but I've also run 2 pretty large companies in my career. Spent most of my career in sort of private equity, either as a private equity CEO or investor. And there has never been a more useful technology for senior leaders and CEOs than AI. Right? It's this weird technology where normally when a technology vendor comes in the door, they want budget, they want money. You have to create budget to get their cool tool. AI is not like that, right? The equation is an AI, so when we sell Sapience, I'll just tell you from our life, when we sell Sapience, our pitch is, look, we're going to save you 80% on the roles we build AI for. So if you've got a whole bunch of people making $100,000 a year, you're going to be able to let a bunch of those go, and you're going to be spending 15 to 20,000 per year to replace each head. And so that kind of calculus is just monumental. And as I said, this is going to happen industry by industry by industry and in waves. And it's going to take probably the next 10 years for the agentic revolution to truly ripple through the whole economy. But the humans who don't get on board and the companies who don't get on board are going to feel a lot of pain. Careers will be destroyed, companies will be destroyed. And I think this is my last slide. My last sort of big comment about AI is that you can't get good with AI overnight, right? So in this graphic in the top right, you got the black belt versus the dude in the suit. Who's going to win the bout? We all know the black belt's going to win the fight, right? Not only did the guy in the suit not come prepared, he's in the wrong clothing, but he hasn't done the training. The black belt is going to whip his butt. And at the bottom, we have a race car driver. Again, if it were me driving my car versus him in that car, he's going to win. He's got the right equipment and he's done the training. And AI is like this, right? Just as you, as managers and leaders, learn to manage humans, budget for humans, recruit humans, supervise humans, fire humans, right? You have to learn all of those skills when it comes to AI agents. And that's sort of one big point I want to underscore, that you don't get good with AI overnight. There's a whole new way of thinking and working and managing and leading. Leading's the wrong word, because the leadership you're going to have to exhibit applies to the humans who will stay in your company, right? You don't need to lead AI. AI just does what you tell it, which is one of its virtues. But leading the humans through the change that's coming and the dramatic shrinking of teams that will occur in the next 10 years, that's going to require old school emotional intelligence and old school management skill. And so this is my last slide. The way we approach engagements with clients and the way other AI vendors do is this. Imagine you have a spreadsheet where you take all the employees in a company and you rank sort them from most expensive at the top to cheapest at the bottom. So in this particular example, there were 73 humans, total payroll cost of 6.95 million. And by the way, that's total cost, right? So superannuation, if you're in Australia, in Europe, there's all sorts of other payroll taxes, but fully loaded cost of humans. Humans are expensive. Now, your C-suite's going to be at the top, and you don't start there because, you need your C-suite, and there's generally only one of each role. But where the big misconception is that people think that with AI, you tackle the bottom of the spreadsheet. And you don't do that for two separate reasons, maybe three. Number one, the jobs at the bottom of the spreadsheet just don't cost that much money. So even if you eliminate the entire junior rank, which is impossible to do, you just don't get the right sort of ROI for your AI investment. Number two, the jobs at the bottom of the pyramid are generally ad hoc and odd job type roles. And so they're harder to AIify. So where do you focus? You focus in the middle of the spreadsheet. So going back to sort of Joe, the junior partner from the earlier example, in this slide, which is notional, but it's sort of roughly based on a professional services company, consultant firm that we've worked with. There are 20 junior partners in this firm. They each cost 200,000, so that's 4 million in total cost. And whilst that's 27% of the headcount, right, so a little under a third, it's 58% of the total cost. And so this is where AI was deployed in this company, and this is where massive savings were achieved. And the complexity involved in building AI systems to AIify 80% of each role there is roughly the same as the complexity of AIifying the most junior roles. So you don't muck around with the junior roles. You target the middle of the spreadsheet. All right, so that is, I'm done with slides. I'm now going to pivot over to our platform. I'm just going to show you some things you can do in our platform. There's one question on the Q&A from Kate: who manages the AI agents? Kate, that would be you, right? I mean, the people who manage the AI agents are the executives who survive the transition that's coming. So All right, so this is our agent platform called Sapience. Actually, I might just bring up the website because it does a good job of explaining what Sapience is. Now, one of the cool things about this website is that Sapience built it. It wrote the copy, it wrote the code. So it's sort of AI advertising itself, which I find deeply amusing. But so look, Sapience is a platform, it's a multi-vendor AI agent platform. What does that mean? It means that you have access to the best AI tech from all the best labs. So OpenAI, who makes ChatGPT, Anthropic, who makes the Claude models, Claude Code, Gemini from Google, Perplexity for real-time search. It supports about another 100 AI models on top of that from about 30 other vendors, but those are the sort of the four big ones we get asked about. Now, Sapience was built from day zero to be highly secure. So we use the NIST CSS framework for cybersecurity, which is what the Pentagon, the Department of Defense in America uses. So I've not seen any other AI platform in the market talk about sort of agentic security, certainly not the way we do. But I spent my whole career in secure cloud storage, so that's sort of not an accident. And with good AI agents, certainly with Sapience, you can schedule agents to work while you sleep. They'll reply to emails. They'll literally wake up in the middle of the night and check if there's any work assigned to them to do it. With Sapience, you get a whole bunch of pre-built AI agents. So you get sort of the equivalent of an amazing graphic designer, an amazing Excel jockey or data analyst. You get a deep research agent. It's better than having a PhD research assistant working for you. You can chat with any file. There's a project manager. And then there's an agent store where you can browse and install many, many other agents. And then built into Sapience is a file system. So it replaces things like Dropbox and Google Drive. And it's AI native. So you've got AI summaries of all your files, or you can chat with any file, upload a complicated contract, chat with the contract, right? There's a writing surface so that replaces something like Microsoft Word or Notion or Evernote, where you can talk to it, you can write with voice, you can collaborate with agents, and then have one agent write one paragraph, a different agent write a different paragraph. So it's really quite powerful. And then finally, the project system, which is where you can spin up a project to manage humans, but also use it to delegate work to project agents, and that's really one of its hero features. So Sapience, at its core, is this, right? It's a platform that connects to more than 200 different systems to suck in all of that data and build AI agents that you can deploy in your business as digital employees. Now, let's go over to the app. So this is a demo account I've got, and so some of the things I was just referring to, right? So agents are up here. We'll look at that in a second. But notes, these are documents I can create, files I've uploaded, projects that I'm working on. And so I'm going to go and just say new chat and have a sip of my coffee. And so what this sort of helper screen is simply saying is that when you chat in Sapience, step one is actually to choose the agent that you want to chat with. So this is quite different to something like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, where I'm not I'm not just going straight into a general purpose chat system. I'm first going to pick a specific or customized agent to work with. And there's always sort of our default agent, Sapience agent, which is the closest equivalent to ChatGPT. And you can always go across to the agent store. And if you want ChatGPT, you can literally install it. It's one of the optional agents that you can install. But I'm just going to go to the Sapience agent. And you know what? Let me just show you. So a cool thing that's going on here is notice all the different logos, right? So the orange star is Anthropic. So you can see this agent's built on Claude Opus 4.6. This logo, here's the OpenAI logo. You'll see the Google logo in here somewhere as well. The Perplexity logo also. So if you were to go and buy subscriptions to all of those different tools, you'd be talking about $1,000 a month just to get access to all of them. They're all baked in Sapience. Right. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to click on this canned question of like, what can you help me with? What skills and tools do you have? And at this stage of the demo, we're not yet dealing with a task-specific agent. We're just sort of dealing with a supercharged version of ChatGPT, if you will, but in this case, powered by Claude Opus. And so you can see all these things that it's starting to tell me it can do. Like, okay, that's a lot of stuff that it can do. So it can access the web, it can create slides, it can create HTML. Okay, that's a lot. I think, so I'm a very visual person, so I think I want to ask it to summarize that for me as slides. And we'll let that work for a second. Now I'm just going to look at the Q&A. There's a question from Fred. If you remove the middle layer, who supervises and trains the juniors? Fred, that problem is a tough one. It's above my pay grade. I think we're actually heading into a massive problem a decade from now where we're not going to have, the intermediates because there won't be juniors being hired. And as I say, that is above my pay grade, but I know what's happening, and I know what's happening in my business, which is we're deploying tech and we're seeing companies lay off people, left, right, and center. And that does have implications for the future structure of the economy. Another question here from Kate. Going back to the training slide, as a CEO, it's tempting to want to delegate deep knowledge of AI components of the business to more tech-educated and oriented team members. Seems to me we need to get a deeper education. I take courses to understand AI agents. Yes, Kate, absolutely. You can't delegate. If you are the CEO of your business, you cannot delegate. You cannot delegate AI strategy to others in your company. You've got to get smart personally yourself. If you're interested, put your email address in a comment, and we can reach out to you and make some recommendations about that for you. But you've got to invest personal time, and so do all your heads of department. All right, I'll come back to the Q&A in a second. Let's just have a look at the slides it created. So it's interesting, right? So it knows who I am, it knows what company I'm from, and it's created a very slick set of slides, in this case, about itself, right? And for me, I digest this much better than the big slab of text that it said before. And now it's saying, do I want to publish these as an interactive website? And I'm going to say, yes, publish it as a website, no need for a password, but can you convert this into, so let's pretend I'm meeting with a customer, series of slides on how CEO John, he runs a big law firm. So it's now going to work. Why now? Why did I use that demonstration? So firstly, what it's going to do is it's now going to vibe code a website. And I hate vibe coding. I sort of sneer at it. But where it gets super useful is if you can combine it with all of your corporate data and, create tailored and bespoke artifacts, which is what it's starting to do for me here now, right? So how CEO John uses Sapience to run his law firm smarter. Time drain. So hours spent searching emails, documents, and case files across disconnected systems, security risk, blind spots, no single view of firm performance. I love that. I didn't ask it to do that, but that's great. Knowledge loss, senior partner expertise tracked in people's heads. What John does with Sapience, firm knowledge base, morning briefings, scheduled daily email. Love that. Client and market intel. Yep, I use Sapience for this every day. I get a sort of an AI compiled news feed in my inbox for all the things I care about in the world. John's Monday with Sapience. This is amazing. So John, he opens his automated briefing email, firm revenue trends, 3 new matters open. Yep. And I actually do get this in my inbox each morning from Sapiens. Okay, then it's saying he'd ask Sapiens to summarize all matters for one of his clients. Yep, that's a terrific use case. He's got a client meeting, so he's going to spend 3 minutes generating a tailored presentation for that client. Tremendous. That's still working, so let me have a look at some of these more questions. So Kate's got another question. I'm concerned as to how much autonomy agents get to do the tasks you're identifying, because where is the safety check that they act safely in accordance with our human IP and nuanced decision making? Okay, so that's all in how you build networks of agents, right? And I'll show you in a minute how we do it, where agents will they'll never send an email to a client, for example. They'll do some work and then ask a human to review it. So again, think about agents just like you would employees. You put guardrails around employees, right? The college grad who just joined your company is not allowed to send stuff to the CEO of your biggest customer. Exact same mental model applies to AI agents, right? So let's have a look at this website it created for me. Look at that. So it's built a website for how John uses it. It's interactive. It's got next and back buttons. I could not create a slide that pretty at all. I certainly couldn't do it in 4 minutes, and then I couldn't create a web page that I could then send to somebody. And you just watched me do all of that live in this tool, right? Absolutely crazy. Now, let's go and talk about, I want to show you some of the things that actually answer the questions that Kate is asking. So how do you put gates on things? So let's create a new project. Demo project for Kate. This project is about managing work with agents. Show what's the goal of this project? Delegate a series of items to an agent with human review. Okay. And so we're now in the projects component of Sapience. And so you can see there's only one member in this. I would normally then go and invite a bunch of humans to this particular project, but you're watching me build this live. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a task, and I'm going to say research AI agent guardrails. And task description is search web and come back with 4 or 5 highly credible sources about creating AI agent guardrails and safety checks for human review of work. And I'm going to say that this is super important. Now, because this tool is designed to allow humans and agents to collaborate, there's a variety of ways to visualize work. So there's an Eisenhower matrix. You can see that task I put up is up here right now. There's a Kanban board if you prefer Kanban. There's obviously a calendar. When you're managing a big project, the calendar becomes really quite useful. And so normally, these things would have, this task page would have, 20, 30 tasks in it. But I just want to demonstrate delegating work to an AI. So I'm going to go back into this task. And instead of it being assigned to no one, I'm going to assign it to a project, to an agent, to an AI. And if we look down the bottom here in additional notes, you'll see that there's sort of nothing in additional notes. Now I'm going to chat with the agent for this project. And I'm just going to tell it to work on tasks assigned to you. Now this will take a second. So let me have a look at Q&A. So Kate also says, this is a completely different way of working to what seniors have done for decades. Takes a bit to get your head around. Yeah, Kate, like I said earlier, right, the tech is there. It'll take years for the humans to adopt it, but the ones who don't adopt it are in real trouble. It's not rocket science. Like you're seeing me on screen right now delegate real work to an AI agent. So it's not that difficult. And in the case of Sapience, you can just send it an email, right? So any agent in Sapience has an email address, and you can just email it the way you would your own staff and team. That's one of our most popular features. So I don't actually think it has to be dramatically difficult, right, or a dramatic change. It does. It is a different look. It is a different workflow, but most of the things that you know from managing humans applies here, right? You can email a good AI agent. It'll work on things. You've got to check its work. So I think the right mental model is to think, okay, an AI agent's like a professional with 10 years of work experience, not a college grad. It's not a baby. It's a professional with 10 years of work experience. And approach managing AI agents like that. But where AI agents are better is they cost a fraction of the cost. They always do what they're told. They'll always check with you if they're meant to. They work 168 hours a week, which is 24 times 7. And so let's have a look at what's happened here, right? So the agent has said, okay, so it's gone and it got help from the web research here. Let me go to the full screen so you can see this better. So what we actually saw, what we're seeing here live, is a team of agents at work, right? So it got help from the web research agent. It phoned a friend. And then it's created a note that sent me an email, and then it's come back here and it's reported that it built a research paper and used all of these sources as reference points, and it tells me exactly where it got its information from. Okay, so that's cool. Now let's go and have a look at its work product. So I go to notes. Actually, let's go back to the task. So Kate, this is exactly the point I wanted to make. See this here? That task before said was to do. Now it says needs review. The AI agent hasn't sent it to a client. It hasn't, done anything with it. It's risky. It's done a bunch of work, and now it's telling me, the human master, that I must review its work. And I click back into this task and go back down to additional notes. This was empty before, but now look at it. Here's your proof of work from the agent. I wish my human employees gave me this level of thoroughness. I mean, are you kidding me? I cannot get, I've employed hundreds and hundreds of senior professionals in my career. I can't get to the speed and quality and consistency and traceability and auditability from 90% of the human employees I've had. So it's showing me it's working, which is amazing. And then if I go across and actually look at what it created for me, so just by looking at the table of contents, I can see it's thorough. Let's scroll down. Okay, so terrific. Yep. So this is the right framework. Yep. So it's this. Yeah. So I can vouch. So to your point about seniors, I'm a senior and I understand these things, and so I can look at that and say, yep, it's got NIST. Yep, it's got OWASP. Yep, this is a good response. And junior can't do that. But for me, that is of enormous value. I could now send that to you. If you're a client, I could send that to you and charge you money for it, right? Or a longer version of it. I think you get my point. All right, what else are we going to do? Look, let's just create a custom agent so you can see what that kind of a workflow is. Because I think a lot of people are scared of custom agents, but you don't need to be. So let's create an AI agent. So who do I want access to this agent? Everybody in my org or just me? I'm going to say just me. Give your agent a name. Okay, so I know we've got some audience members who are involved in the Vistage group, Vistage expert. AI model, let's go with Summit. All right. Now, I'm just describing what's the AI agent that I want. An AI agent that is an expert on the Vistage group worldwide, in particular, Vistage in Australia, which used to be called TC. use internet research to be expert on anything to do with Vistage. All right, so this is a very basic sort of thing. You would normally put in a more detailed description, and you can put in welcome message and starter message as well. I'll put in a welcome message. So, hi, I'm an expert on the Vistage group. Ask me anything at all about Vistage. And then normally when you're doing this, you would then start adding in other data and context, right? I could drop in a whole bunch of different files. I can put in websites. If I knew the Vistage, well, hang on, just get the Vistage group website. So, okay, vistage.com.au. That's pretty easy. So I'm just going to put that in. Now, what could I really be doing with this? Let's say I was building a support agent. I drop in a bunch of support files. Let's say I was building a contract review agent. I drop in some rules that my law firm has, about how we review contracts and what we look for. Let's say I'm building a tax planning agent. I would upload a whole bunch of data from, my own IP about tax planning. But I'm just sort of creating a bare bones agent here to show you that it's not scary, it's not hard, it's pretty easy to do. So going to think for a second. Let me look at Q&A. Okay, it's finished. So, so the AI builds AI. Sorry, that's actually a pretty cool thing to show. So he then went and consulted another AI agent, which is like an agent factory, and it created an AI agent, right? It's showing me now the internal instructions of an AI agent. And this is a really cool learning tool because you can see what great instructions look like. And this is most systems won't show you this. This is sort of the internal rules of the AI agent I'm building. And, in pretty much every other system, you'd have to type all this by hand, which you're never going to do, right? But we deliberately sort of show this so that, so the humans can sort of come with us on the journey. Let's go ahead and create that agent. Harry had a question. How long would it take the project agent to build once you know how to build an agent? Oh, so Harry, you just watched me build an agent. So you asked that question 7 minutes ago, and I built an agent in that period. If I now go to all my agents, you'll see I've now got this Vistage expert agent. So let's go and have a chat with it. And immediately, so Kate, going back to your question earlier about how to work with it, this agent's now got an email address. Now, I don't care how old and stodgy the senior leaders in your company are, they know how to send an email. So they can now work with this agent I've just created immediately. So I'm just going to say, tell me about Vistage. I'm a CEO and thinking of joining. Why should I? It's planning its approach. Okay, it's reading a website. Okay, searching the internet. So it's phoned a friend, right? It's using another agent. Another question from Kate: how do we check the copy for AI watermarks in the response? We don't put AI watermarks in our responses, Kate, so I don't know how you would do it in other systems, to be honest. All right, getting an answer in here. So, why should I join Vistage? So, okay, 45,000 members worldwide, cool. Where to get that data from? Rightio. In Australia, New Zealand operates as Vistage, formerly the Executive Connection. Okay, didn't know what that stood for. Confidential peer advisory. You sit alongside 12 to 16 non-competing CEOs and business owners. Yeah. All right. This is actually pretty on point, showing me exactly where it got its information from. I like that. Now, Harry or Marcos, you guys are in that group. If you want me to ask this new agent a question, I'm happy to. But I guess the point I'm making to everybody else is I just built an expert agent about Vistage. Vistage could stick this agent on their website and it would do a better job of answering questions for their website visitors than their current website does, right? Because when you build websites as a human marketing professional, you try and think through all the questions that humans might have and answer them proactively. You know what's better than that? Having an AI that can answer any question, actual question that somebody asks. All right, so Marcos, who's in this, just giving me a sample question. Let's ask the agent. Harry has a question. Can you create a folder database of documents that you can point the agent or other agents to? Yeah, absolutely, Harry. I mean, there's lots of different ways to wire up agents in our system. You know, there's here in knowledge base, I could just drop in a folder. I can select files and folders I've already got. So these are a bunch of files that I've already got. So I could search for, you know, let's pretend I've got all my CSV files or whatever, right? That could be, you might have a client name you type in, and now I could just hit, right, all those files, and they're my client files or what have you. Equally, and most importantly, normally, like when we're working with clients, we build agents for them, so they don't need to muck around with that sort of stuff. All right, Marcos, there's what it has said. For the benefit of the rest of the audience, can you give me an unfiltered view of if you think that's a good answer or if that's garbage? I'd be curious. All right, we'll hang on, something coming in. Okay, Marcus says spot on. So Marcus is in a Vistage group. That's where I met him. And he's here today, as is some other people from that same group. And so he's telling us that this is a spot on answer. Now, I guarantee you that there's nothing like this on the Vistage website, but there should be, right? And I bet there are people at Vistage whose job it is to answer the phone and give these answers. Can be done better by AI. And by the way, you can have voice agents that can talk now with uncanny quality. You all watched me build that agent live. It took about 6 minutes. There's no tricks here. There's nothing hidden, you know, nothing prepared before the show that's fake. Building and creating task-specific agents is really, you know, quite accessible these days. And depending on who you're working with, you'll generally get a nerd to do it for you, right? A nerd like me, or more likely people who are on my team, etc. And you know, to the query about, well, can old dogs learn new tricks? They don't necessarily have to. You know, anybody can work with email. Anybody can speak out loud. If I go back to the dashboard, I don't know if this will actually share through the webinar. Let me try something. Let's see if this works. Can people just comment immediately if you hear this?
Hi, Ken. I'm Sapience. I can search the web, read URLs you share with me, answer questions about using Sapience, help you understand the different agents you have access to, and even query them for you.
Hi, Sapience. Can you tell me about the Vistage group in Australia? They used to be called TEC, the Executive Connection. I'd just like to learn a bit more.
Let me gather some up-to-date details about the Vistage group in Australia, formerly known as TEC, the Executive Connection. I'll do a quick web search to find the most relevant and current information. Please hold on. Here's what I found about the Vistage group in Australia, previously known as TEC, the Executive Connection. 1. Acquisition. In March 2024, Vistage Worldwide fully acquired TEC Australia and New Zealand. TEC had been operating since 1986, founded by Dr. Phil Meddings in Sydney. This brought TEC's 1,000-plus members and 60 chairs into Vistage's global network of over 45,000 members worldwide. 2. Leadership. Stephanie Christopher continues as the Managing Director for Australia and New Zealand, focusing on expanding peer advisory services in the region. 3.
You get the point, right? So I've had hour-long conversations with Sapience. It's insane. Now, we're running out of time, folks, so I just want to now answer any questions that people have. Kate's got a question. you're working with wholesale investors for the new Capital HQ platform, do they use Sapience in their platform? Absolutely, Kate. Yep, Sapience is their new platform. And they're using Sapience inside their company for huge gains. And, if you know Steve Torso, you know that he's way off the top of the charts when it comes to AI utilization and sort of the use of every AI tool on Earth. He's the most advanced AI user I know that doesn't work for me. And he had this to say about Sapience. I didn't share it earlier, but I'll put it up now. I know you know this already, but Sapience is incredible. Used it to build out skills based on our capital raising content. Then I created the Capital HQ agent. Honestly, mate, I felt the same way this morning as when I discovered ChatGPT for the first time. I thought that was going to take me months. So he did work. He created a whole bunch of fundraising material and artifacts that he thought was going to take months, and he did it in a morning using Sapience. So yeah, it's it's a brave new world we're entering into. So we've got some other questions on the line. Question from Jordan. Jordan, when I said it can't, so Jordan writes, when viewing what Sapience can and can't do, mention it can't view emails, access other systems or CRMs. Yeah, that's just not true at all. Sapience absolutely can access and read emails, can absolutely connect to CRMs, etc. So what you sort of opposite of what you typed there. Marcus writes, Steve is an AI legend. Yes, he is. There's a question: if I sign up for Sapience, is the training available? Exec, it's if you put your email address in the chat, one of my team will get in touch. And yeah, of course, we have training and sort of customer enablement. But probably the best thing to do is chat to one of us. All right, folks. Well, that brings us to the end of the webinar. I hope it was useful. I hope you got something out of it. I've enjoyed it, but time has flown by. So anybody who would like more information about things we do, we do everything from sort of AI enablement at a corporate level, which we do with humans, through to AI engineering, and then we have Sapience, our platform, which you saw me demoing. If you're interested in any of that stuff, or just to stay in touch, drop your email into the Q&A chat. No one else can see that except us, and someone from my team will be in touch. You know what I'll do? Let me just. So this is unusual, but I probably should have had a slide. I'm just going to put, because it's a small crowd today, I'm just going to put my email address on screen. And then you've got that as well. So let me share that. So you can take that down and shoot me a note. And look, I'm not here actually pitching our services or our platform. I do these webinars and sort of other speaking engagements, just trying to raise awareness across corporate America, corporate Australia, corporate Europe. Feel free to drop me a note. And, if you want to come to future events, it'd be great to see you in the future. Terrific. All righty. Well, I'm going to leave the chat open for a few minutes so people can put their contact details in if they want us to contact them. Else, I'm going to drop off the video here, and that brings us to the end of today's webinar. Thanks, folks.